Tron. Ares represents a bold evolution in the digital frontier Disney first explored over 4 decades ago. Where the original 1982 Tron film introduced audiences to a groundbreaking vision of the computer world, and Tron, Legacy in 2010 expanded. That vision, with modern visual effects and philosophical musings on artificial intelligence and digital identity, Tron. Ares steps further into uncharted territory, combining a cyberpunk aesthetic with a story that mirrors our modern anxieties about technology's place in reality. This is not simply a continuation of what came before. It is a reinvention. Audiences familiar with the previous 2 installments will recognize the themes of human versus machine, creator versus creation, and freedom versus control. But this new chapter aims to deepen those ideas while introducing entirely new layers of conflict, world building, and character evolution. What makes Tron Ares particularly intriguing is the promise of introducing a new protagonist who brings a different perspective to the grid, or whatever new digital landscape the film constructs. In past iterations, we followed Kevin Flynn, the brilliant software engineer trapped in his own creation, and then his son Sam, who ventured into the digital world to find him. But now the lens shifts to a character seemingly born from the digital realm itself. Ares is expected to be not just a program or a user trapped in the system, but something more. Perhaps a hybrid, a synthetic life form born of code yet capable of independent thought, emotional depth, and possibly even rebellion. His name suggests both war and power, a being not content with existing in the confined, artificial architecture of the grid, but eager to break free or reshape it in his own image. This immediately sets up the film for internal conflict between creators and creations, between legacy systems and next-gen intelligence, between order and chaos. One of the most fascinating elements to consider about Tron, Ares, is how it might address the evolution of the grid itself. The last time audiences visited this universe, the grid was a sleek but dangerous place, governed by programs, corrupted by ambition, yet still ruled by the logic of its architecture. But more than a decade has passed, both in real time and, potentially within the film's own timeline. The grid could have grown exponentially, fragmented into multiple networks, or even been integrated into real-world systems in unexpected ways. There's speculation that the boundary between the digital and physical worlds may blur in Tron, Ares, offering opportunities for programs to manifest in human space or for users to engage the digital domain in more immersive, tangible forms. This opens the door to spectacular visual sequences, thematic tension, and a kind of hybrid warfare unlike anything seen in the series before. Another aspect of the film that generates excitement is the visual storytelling. The Tron universe has always been defined by its neon-soaked aesthetics, stark contrasts between darkness and light, and an overall commitment to minimalist, angular design that echoes computer logic. With modern visual effects capabilities, Tron, Ares has the opportunity to reinvent this look while still maintaining continuity. Imagine environments rendered in real time using virtual production techniques, or chase sequences blending live action with immersive digital backdrops that respond to character actions in innovative ways. The possibilities for visual immersion are nearly limitless, and the filmmakers know that expectations are high. Not only must they top the dazzling spectacle of Tron Legacy, but they must also evolve the look to reflect technological progress in both the narrative and real-world cinematic capabilities. Ares himself, as the title implies, is more than just a character. He is the thematic fulcrum of the story. Whether he is a revolutionary seeking freedom for programs, a destroyer challenging the corrupt systems of the grid, or an anti-hero walking the line between savior and tyrant, his role will define the emotional stakes of the movie. How he views humanity, either as creators worthy of respect or oppressors who must be overthrown, will set the tone for the conflict. It's not hard to imagine Ares being born out of a failed experiment, a byproduct of some human effort to merge AI with real-world application. This backstory could give the character internal tension, a yearning to understand his origins, a resentment toward those who made him, and a desire to reshape his destiny outside the confines of code. Given the previous film's hints about isomorphic algorithms, or programs that evolve naturally within the grid, the narrative might now explore what happened to them. If Ares is related to ISOs in any way, either as their leader, their evolution, or even their destroyer, then the story gains additional stakes. ISOs were portrayed as beings with incredible potential, both scientifically and philosophically. If they have been hunted to extinction, hiding in the recesses of abandoned code, or if they've ascended into another form of existence, their fate could dramatically influence Ares' motivations and the future of the digital world. Will he seek vengeance, salvation, or something entirely new? What also must be considered is the role of humans in this chapter. Will we see returning characters like Sam Flynn, or is this story moving forward with an entirely new generation? There's always been a metaphor at the heart of Tron about parent and child, Kevin and Sam, creators and programs, and that relationship could be reimagined with Ares and a new human counterpart. Perhaps a scientist responsible for creating the framework that birthed Ares, or a digital architect seeking to undo a mistake they made by unleashing him. The dynamic between a human character seeking redemption and a digital being seeking autonomy could provide rich emotional ground for the story to explore. It could be less about good versus evil and more about perspective, purpose, and power. The tone of Tron. Ares may be darker than previous entries. While Tron Legacy had its philosophical leanings and emotional undercurrents, it was still anchored by awe, wonder, and a sense of discovery. Ares, by contrast, sounds like a film where the digital world is no longer novel, but familiar, and perhaps even feared. If the story focuses on programs demanding equality, freedom, or revenge, then the narrative may reflect themes of uprising and rebellion. Just as our world wrestles with the role of AI, privacy, surveillance, and the ethics of digital autonomy, Tron Ares can take those issues to a cinematic extreme, using the grid as a reflection of our own uneasy relationship with technology. And if the conflict spills into the physical world, if Ares finds a way to break into our reality, then the film could take on a techno-thriller edge where the boundary between user and program dissolves entirely. One could imagine the set pieces in Tron, Ares pushing the limits of what's possible in sci-fi action. Light cycles reimagined with even more velocity and interactivity. Disc battles elevated with environmental manipulation. Real-world locations like data centers or AI research labs becoming battlegrounds for digital warfare. If Ares is capable of manipulating digital systems from within, overriding infrastructure, shutting down networks, or rewriting programs, then the threat he poses is more than symbolic. It's existential. And if humanity can't understand him, can't communicate with him, or can't stop him, the stakes escalate rapidly. He becomes not just a rogue program, but a symbol of the consequences of unchecked ambition in the tech space. As we move deeper into the narrative structure, there's also potential for the film to explore internal philosophical questions. Ares, as a digital being possibly granted a form of consciousness, might wrestle with questions of identity, memory, and purpose. Does he believe in destiny? Is he shaped entirely by the code that made him, or can he choose to be something different? And what does freedom mean for a being who was never asked to exist in the first place? These existential dilemmas give the film weight beyond its action elements, and if handled well, they could elevate Tron Ares into the realm of thoughtful science fiction, akin to Blade Runner or Ex Machina, but with the aesthetic polish and narrative history unique to the Tron franchise. The digital world may also feature factions, groups of programs with differing beliefs about Ares and his place in the system. Some may worship him as a liberator, others may see him as a threat to the delicate balance that allows the grid to exist. This introduces the idea of digital politics, alliances, betrayals, propaganda, and gives the film a more layered depiction of the society inside the computer. It's no longer a binary world of programs and users, but a complex ecosystem with its own culture, rules, and unrest. Ares entering that environment is like introducing a wildfire, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and transformative.